Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of Lamont, Missouri. I'm broadcasting on all the channels, on the Facebook, on the YouTube, on the X, and on the Rumble, because it's Friday, or as a friend of mine says, Fry-yay. But anyways, it's good. It's good to be here this morning. We've got lots and lots to talk about. We got breaking things happening. We got prophetic things happening. One of you know, ah, One of the things you need to do is pay attention to things that are being said by politicians that are prophetic fulfillments. And there's stuff that Kim Clement said 20 years ago that are happening right now before our eyes. I meant to talk about that yesterday. I don't even remember what the subject was now. But Donald Trump said something that was straight up out of a Kim Clement prophecy, and I can't remember what it was. I'll have to go back and look. I'm just thinking about it now. I meant to share it yesterday, and I didn't. But we got to pay attention to those things. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And the word of the day, as given by the Lord, presented by Marine in the Woods, is Numbers 6, 22 through 27. That's Numbers 6, 22 through 27. Now, so somebody was having a chat with me on Facebook, and you're more than welcome to do that too. I do check my spam folder from time to time. If you have something, now mind you, I will challenge you. Even sometimes if I agree with you, or if I agree with you in part, I will challenge you. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be talking about it. It's that simple. And don't get mad if I challenge you. However, this person was talking to me about some things going on in the world today. And it just dawned on me. I said, take a break for 30 days, read your Bible, and talk to God about these things. See what God has to say about them. Because God will talk to you. He may talk to you through somebody else. He may talk to you through the Bible, or he may just inspire you with thoughts. And you're like, that's not my thought. Where'd that come from? Highly recommend. So with that being said, I've mentioned this to a couple other friends of mine who let me ask you a question. Put a 1 in the comment if this describes you. Do you feel over all the stuff that's happening in the world today, anxiety, anger, resentment? Does it cause you to have fear? Are you worried about the end times and the prophet? And is Jesus coming back tomorrow? The Antichrist? Does it bring up emotions, as they say on the streets? Do you feel some sort of way about the Jews, about Israel existing, about Islam, about all the things that are happening regarding that, the things that people say? If this describes you, put a 1 in the comment section. I just want to see if there's anybody out there feeling this way. There's no shame here. I'm not going to give you any shame. Okay? That's not what this is about. Because I feel like we're into a moment and a crossroads. We are in the season of judgment, as God says to me. We are, there's a lot going on. Because God is moving swiftly in these days. And the enemy is moving swiftly also. Okay, 1 to the Islam stuff. Cool. Just being honest. Some of you don't want to be honest. I understand. I'm just teasing. I understand that. This is absolutely not more peaceful than ever. Thank you, Jesus. I agree with you, Lucy. I'm there with you. But I have a lot of friends that aren't. And maybe most of you that watch my show, the reason you watch my show is because you're more aligned with me on these issues. And I understand that. That's part of it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You're feeling this some sort of way, right? I feel like God is really wanting me to say this. And even if you aren't feeling some sort of way, maybe you should do it too. I don't know. I'm not using the word fast, but maybe a fast of media. I'm calling on people who are feeling some sort of way, who are who are who are hearing these things that these people are putting out. Maybe you're agreeing with Tucker on Israel or Islam, or maybe you're agreeing with Candace on Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk and all that stuff. Or maybe you're confused about it. Maybe you don't know what to think. Here's what I'm asking you to do, because I believe firmly in my heart, and I think God was talking to me this morning about it, that all of this is demonic. Not saying you have a demon in you, but I just see some of my friends who are staunch Christians, faithful conservatives, who are posting and listening and saying things that are coming straight from the enemy. By enemy, I mean spiritually, in regards to these topics. And I'm like, man, we got to take a step back. We got to take a step back. Now, Mike tells me, Mike S., who's not on today, he's got meetings all day. You know, he keeps letting that work get in the way of his play. That just sucks. Uh, Mike says to me that in 30 days, you aren't going to recognize things, and that's okay. There is some of that going on. We are living in prophetic times. We are living in a time of judgment, and it's going to come swiftly. There's a video, it's 9 minutes long. I'm not going to play it, on my Telegram page. Go to my Telegram page. Links in the description section. Watch that video. It's a young lady. It's about 9 minutes long. Right now, it's towards the bottom of the list, but by the end of the day, it won't be. But I think what God is calling us to do is fast from media for 30 days, social media, fast from the socials and all of these influencers that are out there influencing, whether big names with multi-million-dollar platforms or little names. Just stop, whether prophetic word or conspiracy based or whatever it is, just stop. Just take a breath, take a step back. 30 days is what what God's saying. 30 days of a fast of media. And during that time, read your Bible wherever God directs you to read it. Read your Bible and ask God about these things. Ask God about Erica. Ask God about Candace. Ask God about Tucker. Ask God about Israel and Bibi and Donald Trump and Iran and Iraq and Saudi Arabia and Russia and Ukraine. Ask God about those things in this 30-day time. I'm challenging you. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Coming from a guy who now makes his living on social media as a so-called influencer. That's what I do for a living now. And thank you to all of you that support my show, either by buying my products or however you do it. 30 days to flatten the curve, 30 days to align yourself with Christ. What I'm saying, and so even if I'm telling followers not to watch my show for 30 days, it doesn't matter, because your spiritual relationship with God is way more important than the Patriot Mike show. "30 days of seeking God's will," and I'm serious about this. Ask God what he thinks about these things. I'm not going offline. I don't know where you get that from, what I'm saying. One of the things also that I tell people, I will continue to do the Patriot Mike Show. I'm talking to you people who are struggling with some of this stuff. Because I think that God is about to do some scary stuff. We're about to see things. I mean, but we're also going to see some amazing stuff too. But this is the season of judgment. There is revival happening, there is harvest happening, but we got to get through the season of judgment before we get to the other side, to the harvest. I'll still be here. I'm not going nowhere. What I'm asking you, if you're struggling with this stuff, to take a break. And I always say this too. I've said, don't go down the rabbit holes. There's nothing but death at the bottom of them. Don't go do what I do and search the media for talking points and things to talk about, because I firmly believe this. I'm anointed by God to do what I'm doing, and I'm protected like Job was protected from the influence, from the demonic spirit that is there. I've been given discernment to see it. Why I came out against Candace Owens before Charlie Kirk's assassination. Some of the stuff that was being said. We are in a spiritual war right now. Spiritual war. And there's two sides. Does judgment equal punishment? There's two. Well, okay. The way the world works, no. The way God works, yes. God's ways are not man's ways. He does things different. When God says we are in a season of judgment, that means the writing on the wall. You've been found lacking. You've been weighed and found lacking. And that same night, that king of Babylon was ended. So I'm just asking you to try it, see what happens. If you feel that way. Marine says Robin Bullock was good. Yes, that on Elijah streams. I saw it. I haven't had a chance to watch it. Yesterday was a pretty busy day. I haven't had time. I didn't have time to sit down and do nothing yesterday, but that's okay. Normally I watch those sort of things. I just didn't have the time. So I will. And there's a couple other things to watch. There's a well, let me just do this. I'm not going to play it because it's 9 minutes long, but there's this video right here on my Telegram page so you can see it. This blonde-haired lady right here with the white fingernails. It's 9 minutes long. I think it's pretty good. Go watch it.
This is for, I want to make it clear to everyone, we are not.
Okay. Let's pull that off. There we go. That's better. Now, let's start the show. I said my piece. You do what you want to do with that. Okay? Here we go. We start the show. A little bit of fun at first. What do you do if someone breaks into your home?
If somebody were to ever break into your house, the first thing you want to do.
The M18A1 Claymore, because nothing says that door lock was for your protection, not mine, like 700 ball bearings being propelled by 1.5 pounds of C4. Have a good day, my friends.
That would do it. Yeah. Don't enter my house for your own protection. And then there's this. You know, fine art is money laundering. I firmly believe that. That's how they launder money. Hunter Biden was a perfect example that his finger paintings bring in $500,000. They're saying Amanda Grace was good yesterday too. Well, I'm telling you, where God is moving, And as we get closer to this event, whatever it's going to be, the prophetic word is coming because he's wanting his people to do two things: prepare themselves and give glory to God when it happens. But but fine art is money laundering. Somebody posted there was a piece of art that was a frame of nothing. And somebody paid like $20 million for it. And somebody else duct taped a banana on the wall. And somebody paid an outrageous amount about that too. It's money laundering. You can launder the money. It's a whole operation. But it's not just in fine art, by the way. It's not just in fine art. This is a luxury bag shop, meaning purses, in Turkey demonstrates the beauty of a $1,790 Balenciaga pouch. A $1,790 Balenciaga pouch. This is straight up money laundering. I guarantee you. It's a Walmart bag, or more appropriately, a Dollar General bag. That's the right color. This is how they launder money. This is what it is. It has no other. It has no other evidence, no other purpose. Who's going to pay $1,700 for a Dollar General bag? It's insane. But they're laundering money. That's what they're doing. It's the way that it works. And it's many other places. You go down to eBay and you see where a Beanie Baby's bringing $100,000 and they actually sold one. That's also laundering money. Matthew says, "I'll take 500 of them." I got 500 of them. What do you think? Everybody's got the Walmart bag or the grocery bag full of bags, right? So you could use them around the house for trash bags or lunch bags or whatever you use it for. We all do. Well, now they're worth $1,700 if you put Balenciaga's name on it. By the way, they're about as evil as they come. That bag is my bathroom trash bag. Exactly what I'm saying. We all have them. It's insanity. It is absolute insanity. But it is legit, which is probably the problem. And then there's this. So the war's going on, and of course, there's different opinions on different sides and different things happening. And you have to wonder, well, let me do this one first. I had it later on, but I want to make sure I get it. So this American Legal First is reporting on this, that information has come out from the CIA. It says, exposed, Biden's CIA's war on motherhood. Newly released CIA documents reveal the Biden administration identified motherhood and homemaking as indicators of white, racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism. So if you're a mom or a homemaker, you're a white, racist, homophobe, violent extremist. White and racially and ethnically motivated violent extremist, women advocating, white, racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, radicalization and recruitment. We're talking about homemakers. We're talking about the girls on TikTok, the trad wives who just want a big burly man to go to work all day and come home, and she'll take care of him and she'll raise the kids and keep a house and feed the chickens and the goats and the llamas and all that stuff too. Kind of goes along with that, which is cool. I don't have a problem with it. If that's the way you want to live your life, live your life. What's wrong with that? But the Biden administration was calling that extremism. No, they want you to be like this woman. They want you to be like, what did I do with it? No, that's not it. They want you to be like this woman. And she's declaring racism. I mean, for real. Listen to what she says. Listen to this.
This is for all the white people who are triggered by the term white privilege. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that a person born into poverty has the same access to opportunities as a person born into incredible wealth? Okay? And you probably know where I'm going with this. So the thing I'm going to say to you is look me in the eyes and tell me that you think that a child born into immense poverty has the same access to education, life experience, and outcome as a child born into incredible wealth.
So what you need to know about the woke white saviors is that they always tell on themselves. She just sorted all white people into a camp of being born into wealth and all Black people into a camp of being born into destitute poverty. And she thinks that's a remotely accurate analogy to make. And she thinks she's really doing her big one by making you think about it and really owning you, right? She really thinks she's an intellectual heavyweight right now. You're a heavyweight, but not intellectually, right? And if you put some of that energy into something that mattered, you'd be in a better place. But they always tell themselves how they actually feel about Black people. So you bring up voter ID and they'll be so against it because they genuinely think that people of color are not capable of figuring out how to get an ID.
That's exactly what it is. That's racism. But we've heard it before, have we not? Haven't we heard that before somewhere? Let me show you. This is what the pushback against SAVE is. SAVE Act, Save America Act, is that these people are racist. And of course, they have to have illegals voting, or at least on the ballot, or at least in the count. They know they can't win without it. But, you know, we've heard this before.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids, wealthy kids, Black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it. We think now we're going to dumb it down.
I just want to point something out. Listen to this again. Understand he makes the statement and then tries to cover the statement because he realizes I just said something really dumb.
Have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. So poor kids are non-white kids. And in his mind, which is already going away in 2019, he says, oh crap, I shouldn't have said it like that. So he adds,
wealthy kids, Black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
But think how we think about it. Yeah. We know exactly. He knew exactly what he was saying because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I've said this before, that usually the first thing out of your mouth is what you really believe. When you say things without thought, because your heart is speaking, tells us who you really are. These people are bigoted racists who think that Black people, brown people are not smart enough to be like them, so we have to help them. Remember, all of this welfare and all of this handout stuff started in the 60s. and 70s, especially under the Johnson administration, when he said we'll have them inwards eating out of our hands and voting for us for 100 years. Think about that. The most racist, vile people. As the woman in the video I played just a minute ago said, these white saviors. And that's who they think that they are. They're the white saviors. They're gonna save you, you black people, you Hispanic people, you Somali people, whatever. They're gonna save you. They're gonna do everything they can to save you from yourself because they love you and squeeze you and pet you and call you George. That's why. That's what's going on. It's ridiculous. It really is. And here's a Babylon Bee. These James O'Keefe is coming out with some massive stuff, and there's other people now about what's going on in California, and we'll get to some of that with the fraud, but not fraud, not the Leering Center frauds or the hospice frauds, but they're going around California paying homeless people to sign ballot initiatives. And it's totally fraudulent and wrong. But with that being said, the Babylon Bee says this: gay Ayatollah excited after receiving DM from cute gay James Mohammed O'Keefeabad. According to U.S. intelligence sources, Ayatollah Ayatollah Jr. couldn't believe his luck when he received a DM from a cute guy by the name of James Mohammed O'Keefeabad. The pair met on Iranian version of Tinder, which is only accessible via the dark web, after a brief correspondence with Kamali Jr., in which Kamali Jr. divulged state secrets. The pair met for a impromptu romantic dinner under the stars to prepare. Ayatollah Jr. dressed in his best robe and made sure to bring his regime's nuclear plans in a Gucci bag, as requested by his online match. As a Muslim, homosexuality is strictly frowned upon, but this incredible man, pulled me out of the closet and asked me out to dinner with him, said Junior. He did seem to be carrying a briefcase that looked like a camera lens on the side of it, but I'm sure it's no big deal. James Mohammed O'Keefeabad, though, appeared Caucasian, insisted he was native Iranian associated with Sharia's Mohammeds near the Persian Gulf. He wore modest white clothing to signify his purity as one of the 72 virgins from Ayatollah, or for the Ayatollah Jr. He details Jr. found particularly appealing a detail. We have a date tonight at Davad and Buster's. Junior said, it's the hot new arcade in town where you can play this game called the Pac-Man. Truly state of the art, thankfully. The arcade hasn't been destroyed thankfully the arcade hasn't been destroyed by airstrikes yet. At publishing time, American investigative journalist James O'Keefe released a bombshell hidden camera social media video detailing his date with the Ayatollah Jr. That's great. That's just great. That's just awesome. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Anyways, in other news, in the war with let me get that off screen. In the war with Hezbollah, Israel is bombing the snot out of Lebanon. By the way, they're working with the Lebanese government to do it. oh, Israel's apartheid. No. Israel and the Lebanese government are involved in this. Why? Because they want to get rid of these Iranian proxy Hezbollah too. Anyways, this Jew-hating RT, which is a Russian newspaper reporter, who says things like this: these people, Zionists, are disgusting. Steve Sweeney, for the Russian news, RT. Here he is, standing on a bridge that was destroyed or partially destroyed by Israeli air power, and he's giving his testimony to the Russian media.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted. Fucking hell. Fuck. Where?
So, note to self, when Israel's blowing up bridges, don't stand on the bridge. I mean, you could have been down the road. You would have caught it on camera. It would have been good. It's not fake. It's not AI. It's legit. It happened live. Just saying. And to Tarred and Feathered, who is completely woefully ignorant on all things biblical, he says, I'm not sure if Greater Israel includes Lebanon. Never said it did. I said the Lebanese government is working with Israel, but to be biblically accurate, Lebanon is a historic ally of Israel. If you've ever read the Bible, you would know that. The temples, both of them, the first and the second, were built with trees, cedars from Lebanon. The king of Lebanon was good buddies with David and Solomon. So that kind of tells you something, doesn't it? By the way, one of the premier Christian nations after in the first century, Christian nations was Lebanon. Lebanon was a Christian nation until it was taken over by the Muslims, and they killed all the Christians. The Romans were doing a good job killing Lebanese Christians too. They'd use them as lights. They'd light them on fire and burn them and use them as lights for their racing, like in Ben-Hur. But I digress. Because you can't stomp out. You can't stomp out God's plan. Can't be done. Can't be done, no matter what you do. So here is touching on a few things that we need to touch on that I find interesting. Saudi Arabia, according to the Wall Street Journal, which I can't show you because behind the paywall and I ain't paying them. Saudi oil officials are privately alarmed that crude prices could surge to past $180 a barrel if the Iran war and resulting supply disruptions continue into April. The base case projection inside the kingdom's energy establishment sees Brent futures climbing well beyond current levels. The Gulf of Oman crude already exceeding $166 a barrel in violent trading. Physical Saudi Arabian light crude is selling to Asian buyers for $125 a barrel through the Red Sea port, and officials expect shortages to tighten further next week, pushing prices towards $138 to $140. Now, listen, they're reporting this as, oh my God, the price is going up. On the other side of it, in the background, what are they doing? They're going, making the money because our oil's bringing $166 a barrel. Woo! Making it rain. We get a new Ferrari just like Bernie Sanders. Oh my God, this price is going up. Bull crap. The Saudis, the Qataris, all of them, they're not upset that the price of oil is going up. Oil's trading at $96.50. That's Texas, West Texas sweet crude. $96.50 hasn't changed here in the United States. Why is that? Because Donald Trump has made America independent. And by the way, when you see all the gas, there's TikToks all the time. Where were the TikToks when Joe Biden had gas prices through the roof to record highs? Where were the TikToks in? They were nowhere to be found. But now you got people out in California, wherever the heck it is, where it's $8.99 a gallon. It's just above $3 here in central Missouri. Going, oh my God, Donald Trump's raising the gas prices. No, Donald Trump in California. If you're in California, your gas prices are high, just look to Sacramento because Donald Trump has nothing to do with it. By the way, Donald Trump just reinstituted, after it's been shut down for years, 15 years, the drilling of oil off the coast of California. He forced it to happen. He also opened a pipeline in Santa Barbara. You see, they tell you partial truths, and that's the problem, is that they're partial truths instead of the whole truth. That's what Satan did. When he said to Eve, you won't surely die, he told a partial truth. He took a partial truth as the truth and made it a lie. That's what Satan does. That's what these enemies of America do. The American enemies of America. They take a partial truth. It is true the prices are high in California. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Not those prices. Not those prices at all. Nothing to do with Donald Trump. I got some stuff on the prices here I want to try to get to. Before I get to other things, we'll see how much we can get to. Here is the Fed chairman basically saying there were no jobs. Even though the job report came out and said there was jobs, he says there's no jobs. They're watching it real close.
A good number of people in the committee are concerned about is just the very, very low level of job creation. If you adjust what has been the trend job creation over the past, let's say 6 months, if you adjust that for what we think, our staff thinks, is the overstatement due to overcounting, effectively there's zero net job creation in the private sector.
Yeah. But if you check out the real numbers, you find a different story. Figures don't lie, but liars figure. Because if you look down in there, you find out that government jobs are shrinking like crazy, counted in the job numbers. We find out that jobs, there's a whole bunch of jobs being created or available, not created, but becoming available because like 2.5 million illegal aliens decided to take the money and run. We're offering them from $1,000 to $10,000 to go home. They're taking their money and they're going home on a free flight that the government provides. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. They're taking 2.5 million people. So those are 2.5 million people. So most say that half of them actually had jobs. So that's 750,000 people that there's now openings for, and those jobs are being filled by American citizens. So it's a loss. It's a wash. There's no new job creation. Brr, brr, brr. Yeah, because of that reason. There's whole construction companies that are crying on TikTok, I'm going to go out of business. All my employees left. Well, dude, you were hiring illegals so that you could rip them off and not pay them the wages they deserve, and then crying What am I going to do? Look, I understand it's expensive. It is what it is. I'm one to advocate for no minimum wage because a minimum wage is a maximum wage. I'm one to say if you're stuck on the bottom rungs of the ladder of life, it's a ladder. Climb up, make yourself better. I personally believe there should be no minimum wage. I think you let the market take the place. If you're wanting to hire illegal labor because you can pay them $7 an hour instead of $15 an hour, but the next guy up the street says, I'll pay you $15 an hour, you're not going to get anybody. I can't find nobody to work for me. Pay them. And if you can't compete in the marketplace, I got a friend. Let me tell you. He is the highest priced cabinet shop probably in most of Missouri. And he's overwhelmed with business. He can't find people, and he pays well. He can't find people that will work. He's overwhelmed with business. Why is he the highest priced, one of the highest priced cabinet shops in all of Missouri? Because he makes the best product. His product is phenomenal, outstanding, beautiful. People who have multi-million dollar home projects hire him to design and install their cabinets because he's the best. So if you're putting out a bad product and I just can't compete because your product's crap in whatever it is, whatever you're doing, well, maybe you should find something else to do. That's the way free economy works. But we don't have a free economy anymore. Does he use flatbed CNC routers? He doesn't, as far as I know, he doesn't use CNC anything. So, no. He's old school. Amish make the best furniture. So you say. I happen to know Amish make great furniture. But I happen to know. So I used to have a shop where I sold antiques and used furniture. I actually had a used furniture shop. And the Amish guys would drive up in the bus. They'd have a van with one of them English driving it. And this old boy would get out and his 16 ladies and young guys or whatever. And he's got this big old long beard like this, you know. And he said he buys every single piece of wood furniture, the real wood, solid wood, not the particle board stuff. Every piece of wood furniture I have. I said, what are you doing with this? He says, I got a little shop outside of town down by Springfield. He's stroking his. I said, so you're going to fix this stuff up? Because some of the stuff I had needed to work done. You're going to fix this stuff up and sell it as Amish made? He goes, something like that. Amish made. That's an Amish made shortcut. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. There's another guy. He's a Mennonite. Same thing as Amish, but they drive cars. He's got a chicken plant near here, and he does eggs. And he says he takes these eggs. He says I take these eggs and I load them up in this big tractor trailer and I send it out to San Francisco. I do 2 loads a month. I have them sold before I get there. I sell them for $10 to $25 a dozen because they're Amish made organic. And he says, stroking his big long beard, they come from the same place. The butt of a chicken. That's what he's saying. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Amish made. Handmade dovetail joints. Yeah, most of the furniture, antique furniture I had handmade dovetail joints. That was the way you did it back then. Heck, you brand new construction fifth wheel trailers, and they all have, that's the big selling point, the salesman, oh, look, dovetail joints. And I say, look, it's made out of balsa wood, a composite or something. Anyways, just having a good time. We're having a good time. Here is the oil prices. This is West Texas crude 97, right? Like I said, today we're trading at 96. It's actually down from yesterday. Brent crude, which is North Sea of England, 113. Meridian crude 128. Natural gas is at $3 and $3.18. Gasoline on average is at $3.17. Heating oil is at $4. So that gives you an idea of where the prices are. Okay. And then there's this. It gives you a price. Just shows you how it's been going. West Texas Intermediate crude versus Brent crude pricing and U.S. export ban. By the way, Donald Trump has said he will not be banning natural gas. Countries like China, countries like Japan, countries like Saudi Arabia. No, Saudi Arabia hasn't, but India. I'm trying to think, there was another one, and I can't remember what it was. But they've all put export bans on oil, natural gas. Why? Because they're way short on it. They ain't got enough. They ain't got enough, and they don't know what they're going to do about it. Also, this happened yesterday. The markets tanked yesterday. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 283 points. NASDAQ's down 269. S&P 500 is down 59. Gold is up $3, up $4. Silver is back and forth at 70. It's trading at 69.85, but it was up a little bit too. So gold's at 46 right now. It took a bath yesterday. It was down 300-400 points. The last couple days, gold's been down, silver's been down, the markets have been down. But here, just look at this. This is what I always do. 100,000 million billion. Okay. So breaking, $820 billion wiped out of the U.S. stock market today, but it'd be yesterday. $120 billion wiped from the crypto cap. What's your GoFundMe for, PCH? What's it for? Is it for your? Didn't you have cancer or something? Is it you? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Let me know. I want to see. Tell me not your. Don't yet put your. Don't yet put your link in there, but tell me what's it for, please. Because if I can support you, I'd like to, and some others might too. Where was I? For so rudely interrupted myself. Kiwi3 saying yes, she has cancer. Okay, go ahead and put your link. Put it in the comment section. Put it in the chat. Put your link in there. Anybody that wants to support her at her GoFundMe, please go support her. My audience is generous. Whatever you feel, $1 to 100,000, whatever you want to give, go support. Go support PCH as she puts the link. And so you have my permission. Moderators, let know that you have my permission from time to time to put your link in the chat room and your link into if you put it in the comment section, it'll stay there. People see it. But if you put it in the chat, people can see it as it's live. So you're more than welcome to do that from time to time. I'll make sure I let Marine already knows Mike's not on the chat. I'll make sure I let Mike know, so the other moderator. All right, I just want to say that. It's not always about me. No, more about me. No, just kidding. All right. So here's my theory. I told you yesterday I wasn't understanding what was going on with the market crashing like it was, with gold dropping like it was, silver drop. I wasn't understanding all of that. Still don't have it all down yet, but the one thing I do believe, I told you that when the time comes for the market to really crash, that people will be selling their assets, their Bitcoins, their gold, their silver, anything liquidatable to cover their losses in other areas. The market was taking a bath, and I think people started dumping their silver and gold futures and their crypto because it's easy cash to cover the other things. That's what happened, I think, yesterday. It wasn't so much manipulation as it was panic and trying to cover. So I didn't see. Did you put the link in there? Make sure you put the link in there in the chat room. Right there. Just put it in there. Let everybody know. They want to put $1 or $2 in, or 10 or 100 or 10,000 or whatever. Hey, there's some folks with money that I'm not going to be like, oh, Miss White. And say, put $1,000 in and the angels will bless you. But there are people out there with great resources who God may lay on them to do something unusual with you. And I pray that happens, that God puts on somebody's heart to bless you. PCH. I really do. So put that link in the comment section. Don't let somebody miss out on their blessing by blessing you. All right, let's see here. Let me see here. Where am I at? What am I talking about today? Okay, so we know Nick Shirley's been going around doing Shirley thing, exposing everything, right? That's been happening. He was in Minnesota. He broke the stories in Minnesota that broke Minnesota. Now he's out in California. And he's breaking it out there. The media has been poo-pooing it. Oh, he's not a real journalist. Real journalists have credentials, and they've been to college and got an education, and they learned how to properly read a teleprompter. In the news today, we found out that cats are used to make coffee by pooping it out of their butts. I mean, that's really what they do. But here you got this guy with no budget and a camera who's busted the fraud in this country in welfare fraud, in food stamps fraud, in hospice fraud, in Leering Center fraud, busted it wide open. One kid with a camera. And the media's like, oh, he's not professional. Well, then show us how it's done. Well, guess what? CBS decided to show us how it's done. Now, CBS is going to win a Pulitzer for this, and that kid's going to get nothing. But you know what that kid said about it? Nick Shirley says, good. I'm glad somebody else is talking about it. See right there. Good work. Glad to see news organizations with $1 million budgets do some real journalism. Here it is.
This was what we refer to as ground zero. That building is considered ground zero because it just was so blatant.
Hospice patient advocate Sheila Clark has been raising an alarm on this one building in LA for years. This building, our investigation found, is home to 89 registered hospice companies. It's called the Marabi Professional Medical Plaza, and it's the most extreme case of hospice clustering that we found.
And this particular building, I noticed, I'm like, dang, how can there be that many licensed and certified hospices in this tiny little building?
We went to the Van Nuys address to find out what's going on.
We're going to try to go in and see what we can find. Here's the directory. Hospice, Home Health Agency, hospice.
Can you come back?
There's the link in the chat. Make sure that you go and make sure you go and do whatever God lays on your heart.
Just looking at this directory, you can see dozens of hospice agencies coming up.
The state and federal records for hospice agencies tell you a lot. State auditors have identified warning signs when they're looking for fraud, like multiple hospice offices packed into one building, or caretakers whose patients who are supposedly at death's door are discharged alive. According to our analysis, 72 of the 89 registered hospices in Merabi Plaza have at least 3 of those potential warning signs.
This isn't possible. It made no sense because I know what a licensed and certified hospice looks like.
We weren't the first ones to come to this building. Federal inspection records show that regulators visited multiple suites in Merabi Plaza between 2021 and 2025, and they found nearly 400 violations. At one, a nurse wrote that a patient's family was satisfied with the care, but inspectors found no one from the hospice ever even visited that patient. At another, the patient's chart listed medications for malaria and diabetes, but the patient told inspectors he wasn't taking either one. And at that same company, a hospice social worker wrote about a family's grief when their loved one had passed, but there is no evidence the patient was actually dead. These hospices have been billing Medicare for reimbursement with your tax dollars for years.
Why are we still seeing such, rampant signs of this? Why hasn't more been done?
We're committed to tackling the issue until we root it out and extinguish all fraud.
So who's working to fix this? Well, the state attorney general is the one responsible for investigating the industry here in California.
California is always going to have the biggest numbers. We're the biggest state. We're the 4th largest economy in the world. We have the most people of any state. And but this issue is unacceptable, and we need to keep tackling it and do more.
We're also following the money here. Medicare is federally administered. It's your federal tax dollars going to these hospices. So we sat down with Dr. Mehmet Oz, who heads the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Is this accelerating the enforcement, the shutting down of these hospices?
We have dramatically accelerated our ability to take out the bad guys by stopping their payments. And that's the big mindset shift. I want to make it clear, we're not going to pay you money just because you sent me a piece of paper with a bill on it. We're going to check to make sure that's legitimate and that document is evidence that you actually performed something that's helpful to the American people, or you're not getting money from us.
When we went back, we found the building's owner, Kambiz Merabi.
I have vacancies. Tenant would come in as long as they're legit. Yeah. They have valid things that we need. Mm-hmm. I rent. I'm not a police or keeper of what they do, how they do business.
So from your perspective, they're licensed. That's obviously the first sort of barometer of, measuring whether
Correct.
It's a legit business or not.
Absolutely. And look, maybe state and the federal government, it's becoming restrict on many businesses, and I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, you and I are paying for all those things that are not right.
Merabi wouldn't let us walk the halls on our own to talk with hospice employees, but told us this about any possible fraud. If you learn of hospices in your building that are accused of fraud,
I would immediately
you would get rid of
terminate.
them. Okay.
Yes.
But that hasn't happened yet.
No, no one has ever come to me, tell me that, okay, this or that is doing fraud.
So let me tell you the nefariousness of this. Somebody in the comment section said they'd steal your Medicaid. That's one way. They get these old people. They say, look, we'll give you $500 if you come in here and fill out this application. They don't tell them what it's for. And then they start billing Medicaid for hospice care. Well, if you're an older person on Medicaid, retired, whatnot, and they start do the paperwork to put you on hospice, to start raping hospice of money for these scams, understand what happens. You go to the doctor, you're healthy, you're doing fine. You go to the doctor, and the doctor says you need X medicine, maintenance med, blood pressure medicine, heart medicine, or maybe you need a elective surgery to fix your glaucoma or something. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up here. You get denied by Medicare because you're on hospice. And there ain't no reason to fix your eyes if you're going to die in 6 months. This is what's happening. They're stealing from these people their medical care because they can't get the care that they need, the maybe not life-saving care because they're really not dying, but maintenance care because the insurance, the Medicaid, Medicare is not going to provide you with this elective stuff or with this maintenance stuff if you're dying. That's the real tragedy in the crime. You could make the case that there was no harm, no foul, other than to the taxpayer, that the Leering centers existed because there was no kids there. There was nothing there. But these hospice ones, they're nefarious. They're nefarious. And it's a shame. And there ought to be something done about it. And there is something being done about it. Here's Nick Shirley talking to Benny Johnson about this fraud stuff and about God.
What is it with you and how you were raised, or your faith, or the way that maybe God just put you together that allows you to sort of walk into these fraudsters, whether it's in New York City, people selling fake Gucci bags, or whether it's straight into these Somali daycares, or whether it's in California, walking through these homeless encampments? Like, what is it that drives you and allows you to do that? Most people would be pretty terrified and pretty scared. A lot of these people are unhinged. Some of them are clearly violent. You've clearly been threatened and run out of a lot of places. You talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's a accumulation of a lot of experiences I've had growing up, and then also being the younger brother. I mean, I was always just like the test dummy, and I had to kind of grow up without fear to be able to hang out with my older brothers. And so I think that definitely helped. And then I also just know that what I'm doing is good, and I don't have anything to fear because I'm not doing anything bad. If I was doing something bad, I'd have something to fear. And so, I do feel like God is on my side when I go into these situations, because I'm just going to show the truth. And it's actually a big public service for our country. And we know that our country is the greatest country in the world, but it won't be the greatest country in the world if we allow all this fraud and all these foreigners who aren't even from here come in and loot from the American taxpayer that's actively working to make America great. But then you have people who aren't from here who don't have the same values as us. So there needs to be someone who's willing to stand up to them. If it's me, great. If it's somebody else, great. But we all do need to do our part, because if not, America won't be the America that made it great.
Since you said there in your last answer, I feel like God is with me. Could you expound on that a little bit? Because again, a lot of the comments are just like, dude, you're really brave. You're going to some of the darkest, most corrupt corners of our society where no journalist will ever touch, right? There's 100,000 journalists out there, a bunch of really powerful and very rich news companies. They won't ever touch this stuff. I think because they're too scared. I know a lot of them, and they're cowards. But you're doing it, and you say that God's on your side. Expound on that.
Well, I just think when you're doing something good, like, this world is good versus evil. And so when you're doing something good, you're obviously going to have the support from God. And I don't think like any of the viewers watching right now, also, if they go out and do something good, they're going to have support from God as well.
Do you feel like you're protected when you go in?
I would hope
spiritually
so.
When you go into these places? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so. So yeah, I do feel, and people are always praying for me as well. Like every time I meet people in the streets or whatnot, they say they pray for me, which helps. And so I do feel that. So yeah, I would hope that. And the majority of people are on my side. I've never even had a bad interaction in public, except for when I go to these hostile locations.
So there's him talking about his faith, his strength. He's doing, I believe, what God has called him to do, which is kind of cool. So that's a good thing. Now, breaking news, it was just in the comment section, and I double checked to make sure. No offense to the guy commenting, just got to make sure on things. People were saying yesterday that the SAVE Act passed, and it didn't. But Chuck Norris has passed away. Finally come up against something he couldn't beat. But he has passed away. 80, was it 89, 88, 87 years, however old he was. It is something that happens. It is something that happens. We all face that moment when we must meet our maker. And I've said many times, 86, thank you, many times that was he sick? No, he had not been sick, but yesterday it was reported that he was rushed to the hospital with a medical emergency yesterday in Honolulu or Hawaii, somewhere in Hawaii. I don't remember where he was. Just remember, many of you are very concerned about the rapture and when's the rapture going to happen and when's the end times. You need to be more concerned about your personal end times. Make sure you get right with God. Yeah, just ripe old age then. Yeah, he did well. He did well. But and he did good. He was a good guy. There was nothing, I can't say anything bad about Chuck. So if Chuck didn't die, he went to fight in the next life. That's right. Here's Gavin Newsom.
Pollution is an act of theft. It's not complicated. Pollution, a subsidy. The polluter gets theirs. All the rest of you pay the price. Generations that pay the price. It's deficit spending. So this is not about science. Science didn't change. Just the administration changed. But as the Attorney General said, it's been decades in the making, 16 plus years. You can mark the Koch brothers and their industries. And, every week there's another opinion piece. My friends in the Wall Street Journal, just mouthpieces for big oil, special interests, getting theirs. As you're getting hit between the eyes, experiencing it globally in real time. This is not the freedom agenda. We're all addicted. We've been played for suckers for decades and decades. California is about energy independence. We're about freedom from big oil, freedom from big manufactured global crises that we're in at a scale and scope we haven't been in our lifetimes, arguably. At the moment, played out in real time. That's what this fundamentally is about.
So there's their new fraud, which is global warming, and it causes deficit spending. No, you cause deficit spending, not global warming. It's not even really a thing. This is Gavin Newsom's wife. By the way, Gavin Newsom will not be the nominee for president if he even makes it to the nomination process.
There's so much to learn from same-sex couples who have learned to communicate and who also are like, well, look, someone's got to do the care work in a same-sex male couple. Someone's got to do that. So I'm just going to do it. And this is and not be afraid or ashamed because it's part of being human. We're all on a spectrum, right? It's just how society kind of pushes us and pressures us into these limiting gender roles. But again, the folks on the far right, they're missing is just this. They're living in this silo, this evangelical conservative silo that ultimately it's just pulling us back as a country to a time and a place where we don't deserve to be, and we're not going to be, because honestly, young women and fathers of daughters are awake now and they're woke and they're not going to let us go back. And so I have so much hope because of that. And obviously California has a huge responsibility to lead.
Young women and fathers of daughters. What, the ones that are aborted? You're calling for abortion. and then say fathers of daughters. It's the evangelicals. Yeah, because we believe in life. You're a wicked, evil woman. Huh. They will do everything in their power to put a witch in the White House. What does that mean? Here's another fraud that's happening in California. Big time fraud.
So what's the issue? You get a gift too. It's for provide permanent funding for schools and healthcare. You have different ones. This is for Uber, accident victims, so they get medical expenses. Most of them is health and medical. So if I sign this, I can help people. If you sign this clip right here, you get a free gift, or you could get $5. It's on you. Free gift, $5? Oh, let's say you could get a free gift or $5 on you. You get a. What organization is this? What do you mean? This is Pivotal Politics. Oh, it's the nonprofits. Oh, it's from the state. They're really like it's from the 6-7 states that do that. It's from the same company. Oh, this is California funded? Yeah, but California. It's a cigarette. Thank you. No, Pivotal Politics is the company. They're like in 7 states.
So what's this for? Pivotal Politics. And we'll pay you. That's a crime. But that's what they're doing. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. There's a little bit more fraud stuff, but we get the point. I want to talk about this because I think that this is just absolutely insane. If I can find it here. Here it is right here. So this is Representative Jamie Ratskin. Listen to what this moron says.
Invoking Tom Paine, who was an undocumented immigrant who came to this land in 1774, 2 years before the Revolution, and wrote Common Sense.
The member said, I think his opening sentence was, he said Thomas Paine was an illegal immigrant. My understanding was Mr. Paine was born in the UK, came to America, then a British colony in 1774. So I was just struggling to figure out how he was.
Oh, I didn't say he was an illegal immigrant. I said he was an undocumented immigrant. Just like Thomas Jefferson's family was. Most of our ancestors did not arrive here with documents.
Do you hear what this idiot's saying? These are the same morons that every Christmas tell us that Jesus was an undocumented immigrant. He was just... No! Jesus and his mommy and daddy traveled from a Roman town in a Roman province to another Roman town in another Roman province in the same Roman province, Judea. Wasn't called Palestine yet because the Romans had the Jews hadn't pissed off the Romans yet at this point. That's the same thing because you know what? I decided to look and see. We live in a world where all the information of the universe is right here on your phone. Everything that man knows is right here. Oh yeah. I saw who was it? It was Pastor Locke. he said he was talking about the Christ is King movement. And by the way, they are using Jesus's name in vain to attack the Jews by saying Christ is King. And he points out, he says, I don't know about the God you serve, but my God's not just King of Israel or of the United States, but my God is King of the universe. So, and he's right about that. You don't disagree with him all you want. So I decided to go and look and see what was. I asked Gronk. I said, hey, Gronk, how are you doing today? I asked Gronk. I said, did British citizens in the 1700s have identification? And this is what he said. No ordinary British citizens, or more accurately, British subject. You weren't a citizen in 1700. You were a subject in the 1700s, did not routinely carry documentation proving their citizenship or subject status. In the 18th century, the concept of citizenship, as we know it today, tied to portable national ID documents, was not in use. People were British subjects under the crown, primarily determined by birth within the king's dominions, a form of just soil, or right of soil, established in common law since at least the early 17th century. Most people never needed to prove status in everyday life within Britain or its colonies. The 18th century, the concept of citizenship, as we understand today, I just read that. No national ID cards or internal passports existed. Britain did not introduce mandatory national identity documents or eternal passports in the 1700s. Such systems only appeared much later. National registration and ID cards were first trialed during World War I, which is 1915 to 1919, and again in World War II, but they were temporary and not feature in the 18th century. Passports existed, but were not for ordinary people or proof of citizens. Because if you were a English subject, I could go down to my Telegram and read the whole thing. If you were an English subject at the time of the Revolution in the United States of America, and you wanted to travel to the colonies, you had to go petition the king to get permission to leave and go to the colonies. So when Thomas Paine came here, he got permission from the king to go to the colonies, the king's colonies, in the British colonies. He did just like Jesus. He went from one British location to another British location. He was not an immigrant. He didn't immigrate. He didn't go from Britain to France, or Britain to Germany, or Britain to China. Oh, wait a second. That would have been a British colony at the time. Dum, dum, dum. The sun doesn't set on Great Britain. Funny. So you got Mr. Ratskin, and you want to know something? Mr. Ratskin is not he knows this. He knows this, but he said this, and it's going to be clipped and played on all the TikToks and all the social influencers on the left, and they're going to go, see, I'm retarded. I graduated high school with straight A's and college with straight A's, and I got my doctorate in history, but I'm stupid and don't realize that I'm being lied to. Because Mr. Ratskin said it has to be true. And that idiot Patriot Mike, he has no education. So how does he know? Everything you ever wanted to know is right here. It's stuff you don't want to know. Yeah, there is that. And then there's this story in the news. I got a couple of them. There's some good stuff here we're going to go through, and then we'll talk about whatever else there is. Let me make sure that I'm doing this right. Okay, I did that one. So I should be on 17. I should be going where I think I'm going. I don't know. Somebody tell this guy how to do a show. He's such an idiot. Yep. I'm not going where I think I'm going. We'll get there in a minute because, I got time. I want to talk about something else before we get to the breaking news of the day, which is more than just Chuck Norris passing away. He had to go kick some butt somewhere, because I wanted to talk about some stuff that's coming out about Zoltan Madami. So Zoltan's wife is a blatant racist. I'll give you a break. Some of y'all follow that 17 way too much. Zoltan's wife is an Islamic communist, fascist, racist. And she said some things that got her page. She took her page down. She said, why are these fags following me? See that? And then she says, talking gangsta with my genius. This is her right here. Hell yeah. She used everybody's defending her, saying she used the A instead of the R, so it's not bad. Super duper genius, excuse you.
Yes, sir.
So it's starting to come out that she's a racist Islamist that hates the Jews and hates the blacks and hates the Mexicans. In fact, hates anybody that's not an Islamist like her. And so it's turned out to be quite bad. Here is the backlash. This New York Post says this. It says, New York City First Lady Rama Dawali, or whatever her name is, deletes old X account after post praising Palestinian terrorists resurface. There's that too. Because she's a terrorist. And she's a sweet gal. Actually, you want to know the truth about the matter? I think she's running. Watch the Wives. I think she's running Zoltron. Just like the wife of Joe Nix. Joe, is that it? Whatever his name is. You know what I'm talking about. His wife is running him. I think that's exactly what's happening here. Oh my God, Mike, I can't believe you said that. So they decided to have a presser. And here's how it went. This guy's a comedian. It's a parody, but it's still funny.
I want to make it clear to everyone, we are not going to be answering any questions about First Lady Rama Jamanji or her online behavior. Got it? Okay, fine. I'll do one. I'll do one question.
What do you think about the First Lady liking posts glorifying October 7th?
What do I think about her liking posts about October 7th? She suffers from dyslexia, and she thought that they were posts about 9/11. Yes.
What do you think about her praising the first female Palestinian hijacker, Layla Khaled?
She happens to be a big fan of strong, independent women who take what they want. So she's like a Palestinian Martha Stewart, right? Next.
What about her post saying that Tel Aviv shouldn't exist?
Oh, that Tel Aviv shouldn't exist? She's saying that, I mean, because people have tried to destroy it so many times. It's such an anomaly, right, that it survived. I'm sure that's what she meant. Yes.
She said the N-word.
Right, that she...
What do you think about that?
Yeah, there was no hard R there. It was with an A, so it was out of love. The N-word is okay if you don't do the hard R.
She illustrated a book by Susan Abelhawa who called Jews cockroaches.
About Susan Abelhawa. Yeah, the Jews are cockroaches. Hard shells, hard to kill, keep coming back. So another compliment. Yeah, clearly these have all been taken out of context.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's all taken out of context. She really didn't mean what she said. She said what she said, but she didn't mean what she said. She meant it at the time, but then she changed her mind. It's okay. It's fine. It's no problem. She's fine. But did you see First Lady Melania? She's such a racist. She's appropriating 7 languages, don't you know? Oh, yes. You got to love it. You got to love it. You got to love it. And then there's this story breaking in the news. So y'all remember, well, let's do the story and then we'll talk about it real quick.
In just a few hours, a case challenging immigration detention practices is taking center stage at the U.S. District Courthouse in Minneapolis.
Yeah, this comes as one of the most high-profile immigration cases of Operation Metro Surge hits a critical snag for the family involved. Audrey Russo joins us now with the latest on Liam Ramos. Audrey.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, out here in front of federal court, the hearing at 9 a.m. today is for a case that accuses Homeland Security of denying detainees timely access to attorneys. And it honestly just goes to show how top of mind immigration still is here in the Twin Cities. And in the last 24 hours, we learned that Columbia Heights preschooler who went viral after he was detained by federal agents in front of his elementary school, we're learning he could now be deported. Take a look at this. This is Liam Ramos in the picture that captured national national attention back in January with his blue bunny hat. We've learned that he and his father were sent to Texas. Now, after outcry from lawmakers and the public, they were released back to Minnesota to finish their asylum case. Fast forward to today, his family's attorney confirms that a judge ended their asylum claim yesterday. Now, Columbia Heights Public Schools sent us a statement saying, in part, while we respect the legal process, we cannot ignore the profound human impact, especially on children, of this federal action, which has disrupted the lives of so many of our community members who entered this country through legal means. Now, the family's attorney says that they plan to appeal the decision, but if they lose, they could have to go back to Ecuador. And this appeals process, Jason and Alicia, is one that could take months, even years, to be seen through in its entirety. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you.
So, did you see they detained the little boy? The little boy was detained. That's not how the story went. The dad split, ran, left the little boy. That's what happened. The mom wouldn't answer the door. So they took the kid and put him in social service. And the reason the lefties were all upset is because all of the protesters, the whistleblowers, the cat dog, blue-haired girl people, the dressed in bunny suits that were going around, cussing out ICE and screaming and hollering and all that. They're like, give us the child, give us the child, give us the child. And they're like, no, we ain't giving you this kid. Are you out of your mind? We don't know who you are. Yeah, the little boy was rescued by ICE. And then when they detained the father, and the father said, I'll take the little boy, they took the father and the little boy and sent him down to Texas. Why Texas? Oh, my God, they shipped him to Texas. Because they have a facility created for families in Texas. Instead of locking the little boy in prison with his dad in Minnesota in a prison, they sent him to Texas to a facility for illegal immigrants. And their case was just heard, and they were ordered to be deported. Go away. How they misrepresent this story. Ridiculousness. Total and complete ridiculousness. Here is Hakeem Jeffries calling James Comer a buffoon. And the reason that, I'll give you some background, what he's talking about is Pam Bundy showed up to testify before a closed session, before members of Congress, and the Democrats all got the butthole. They got all butthurt because the cameras weren't on, so they couldn't do their smoozing for the cameras. So all of their innuendos and misleading statements and ranting without letting Pam Bundy speak would have no effect because there'd be no cameras. So they stormed out. And it was called out by James Comer and others. And this is how Hakeem Jeffrey responds.
These are extreme people. They're not serious people. These are extreme people. We saw that the other day with James Comer. Once again, behaving like a malignant buffoon, attacking Summer Lee. By the way, Summer Lee, who's brilliant, she's hardworking, she's caring, she's compassionate, and she was right that Pam Bondi should absolutely be compelled to testify under oath. That was a charade that took place yesterday. And James Comer should publicly apologize and then take a seat for the rest of this Congress and keep his mouth quiet.
Yeah. You're a piece of crap. She was under oath in a private setting where she could talk classified information, and the Democrats are going, yeah, we don't get to perform for the cameras. We're not doing it. Oh, we're going to storm out. Well, Hakeem Jeffries, you're a lying dirtbag. How about that? You know what they're really concerned about? You know what they're really, really, really concerned about? They're really concerned about what is breaking in the last 48 hours. For example, this is yesterday evening, MS Now reporting.
It has been coming Into focus since we've been on the air, the former director of the FBI, Jim Comey, has reportedly been subpoenaed in that wide-ranging grand conspiracy case that they're trying to assemble against anyone who ever investigated and sought to prosecute Donald Trump. We'll get to that.
Well, here's the thing. That's the Russia stuff. That's the stuff where James Comey colluded with the Biden administration to say Hillary Clinton didn't do. I mean, Hillary Clinton broke the law, but no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute. That's the willful manipulation of evidence to go after a sitting president of the United States of America, James Comey. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let me just walk you down the street here a little bit. Here is more MS Now reporting. They're going after us. What are we going to do? Oh my gosh. I'm telling you that the time is coming when many of these people will self-deport, either the country or the planet, but they will self-deport.
To some news that has broken since we've been on the air, Axios reporting that former director of the FBI, Jim Comey, has been subpoenaed in a wide-ranging grand conspiracy case against the ex.
Let me show you what they just did right there. I didn't notice that. Did you all notice that? This is the picture they put up as they're saying James Comey's been indicted. U.S. encourages flow of Iranian oil, and they put, that's not James Comey. That's Burchett, Secretary Burchett. Did you see that?
Been subpoenaed in a wide-ranging grand conspiracy case against the ex-officials who investigated and some who would go on to prosecute Donald Trump. That's according to two sources with knowledge of that situation. The subpoena for Jim Comey was reportedly issued last week and relates to his alleged role in the drafting of a January 2017 intelligence community assessment concerning Russia's election interference that favored Donald Trump. This so-called grand conspiracy case is based in the Southern District of Florida.
Right, which means none of your DC buddies can bail you out. You see, how can they charge Comey in the Southern District of Florida? Because as part of the conspiracy to get Trump, they brought charges against Trump and raided Mar-a-Lago in Florida. That is all, you see, it's connected. The Jack Smith stuff is connected to James Comey, which is connected to Barack Obama, and so on. And why in Florida? Because the judge down in Florida don't take no crap. That's why. Now listen, here is on John Solomon shows, Devin Nunes shows up, and they're talking about the stuff that's coming out. This is part of the grand conspiracy. This is why they're doing a grand conspiracy. All you people going, they're not arresting anybody, blah. No. This is intentional.
So, John, let me try to unpack this. What I would first say is we ran a decade-long investigation in the Congress into China. And so this new bombshell that you just dropped is very concerning to me, and it should be to the Congress even today, that this information likely was around in 2019, probably in 2020. I don't know. We're going to have to unpack this and figure out why this didn't get to the Congress and why this didn't get out to the American public. Clearly, this is a scandal that's brewing, and I'm sure you're going to continue to track it. I should also say, you mentioned Director Ratcliffe. As you know, I chair the President's Intelligence Board. We've been working directly with the CIA to depoliticize all of these agencies. The President Trump gave us clear direction that he wants the politicization taken out of these intelligence products. And it's been, a slow slog. We've been working to get this information declassified. We've been working with the different agencies to make sure that there's transparency. And I do commend the CIA under Director Ratcliffe's leadership for retracting those 19 phony reports. And I actually think there's probably many more that are there, but I think this is just the start of Director Ratcliffe is trying to clean up the CIA. Obviously, we're here to help. We're here to help all of the agencies as chair of the President's Intelligence Board, and we'll continue to do that. This just the kind of the final point on China and their capabilities here. I think we should all, be very concerned that China is continuing to leapfrog. And if you don't have if you want to call it the truth, transparency, real intelligence agencies getting the information to the policy makers and the decision makers, it's a major problem. So if you have a bunch of it doesn't matter how great you are at gathering intelligence. And I happen to think that our military and intelligence in the United States are very good still, but it doesn't do any good if that information never makes it to the people that actually have to make a decision. And just to kind of go back to what I was saying, we ran this China investigation for a decade, and this is clearly information that should have come to us immediately back in Congress, back when I was in Congress. So now, the President's Intelligence Board, we're working with anyone and everyone that wants to have transparency and wants to have accountability. We're there to help aid in that process.
Sir, not that Britain is a model for much of anything these days, but as John alluded to in this headline, they at least saw the gravity of what it meant for their country when their voter data was hacked. Our intelligence community has this air, or had, I guess I should say in the past, had this air of insouciance, and either they didn't care or they did care and they knew, but they didn't care about the implications because politically they felt like it would help them. Which is it?
Well, this is the concern in John's early reporting here that I have, I've only heard this from just the news. I haven't yet got any briefings on this, but I'm assuming next time I'm in Washington that we will get up to speed on this. So we need to really understand and unpack, what did they actually get? What did they take? What was in there? What was the data that was in there? And then who hid it, right? And I think this is going to be not only from kind of our perch and with our direction from the president to depoliticize, but I think the agencies themselves will need to do their own investigation and also get that information to Congress. I think there's still some great members of Congress out there. If you take Chairman Crawford, that has my old job on the House Intelligence Committee, or of course, Chairman Grassley, who has a long record of working with whistleblowers, that's where this really needs to get to that point. And then at some point, people have to be prosecuted or fired or demoted or forced into early retirement. Something has to start happening with all of this malfeasance that's going on, which is why, just going back to the prior question about John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, retracting these 19 reports. Now the question is, are there going to be changes made at the agency, which I know that Director Ratcliffe is continuing to work on.
So what we have here is we have foreign influence into our elections in coordination with somebody within our intelligence community, because Devin Nunes was leading the investigation into this and was not given this information when requested back in the day. Continuing the grand conspiracy that they're investigating, that they just indicted James Comey on. You see how that works? It's all part of the same play. It was all part of the attack against the United States of America and a sitting president. It doesn't matter whose president was in the seat. If you're attacking the presidency, you're attacking the United States, period. And if it turns out that China and Russia and Ukraine were trying to manipulate the election in an effort to remove Trump from office through elections in conjunction with all these other people, then you're acting with a foreign power. Consider that for a minute. But there's more. We're not done yet. There's more. Here's James Solomon on Steve Bannon's show. Now, we've talked about Steve Bannon here lately. However, it is what it is. This is where he said it. Listen.
If Tulsi Gabbard looked Mark Warner into the face and said, "Sir,
We were told for 6 years that there was no foreign intrusions in our election. We've now indicted Iranians for hacking into one voter database. We now have evidence that 18 other states' voter databases were penetrated by China. And the reason you and I don't know about that is that a series of intelligence analysts and officers under Donald Trump and Joe Biden put party before country. They decided they were not going to tell the country, they were not going to tell the Congress, they were not going to tell the president of the United States that China did these things because they didn't want to give Donald Trump ammunition on his China policy, because that is what the ombudsman concluded. On the record, there is a report that's been sitting with nobody noticing it. The Intelligence Committee ombudsman saying that the CIA intentionally kept the president and the country in the dark because they didn't like Donald Trump's policies. They even used disparaging names to describe the commander-in-chief they're supposed to be working for. We got to find out if any of those officers still work for the CIA, because they should be fired. But she could have done that because she has all of this evidence. And by the way, she has a lot more evidence than what I've been trying to squeeze this out. She has oodles more evidence. It is more damning than what I've reported, and she's been sitting on it. Why? I don't know. She didn't deploy it today. The president knows of this evidence. The White House chief of staff knows of this evidence. They went into, I think she has oodles more evidence. It is more damning than what I've reported, and she's been sitting on it. Why? I don't know. She didn't deploy it today. The president knows of this evidence. The White House deploy it today. The president knows of this evidence. The White House chief of staff knows of this evidence. They went into, I think Kash Patel has answered the imminent threat pretty interestingly on Iran. He's talked about China. He brought up the driver's licenses today. That was important. Ratcliffe seems a little bit more engaged, but Tulsi.
So he's talking about Tulsi Gabbard has oodles of more evidence that the Chinese, the Iranians, the Russians, the Ukrainians have meddled in our elections with the intent of supporting the opposition of the president of the United States of America. Seditious conspiracy. It's going to be tied together. Why he doesn't know why Tulsi Gabbard's not releasing this information? I'll tell you why. Because the president knows. Because the president is in charge. Tulsi Gabbard told you exactly why she made that statement that the president decides. I give the president the information. The president decides what to do with it. I follow his orders. Same thing with Pam Bundy. She's not arresting. Who does she work for? The president. Same thing with Kash Patel. Who's he work for? The president. I'm telling you right now, this whole entire grand conspiracy is Donald Trump. He's doing this. He's controlling this. This is what's going on. He's not distracted by the war because Donald Trump can do two things at the same time. I'm telling you that what Tulsi, somebody just commented from Facebook, said Bannon is a traitor. It's looking to be that way. Tulsi is a bad actor. Tulsi's doing exactly what President Trump is telling her to do. The reason this hasn't come out yet, because it's not time yet, but that time is coming. We are in the season of judgment. Here's Kash Patel. I'm tying this all together. This is what this grand jury and this seditious conspiracy is all about. They're putting all of this into the seditious. It's one big play. It's one big coup against the United States of America.
We have infused funding into our entire program, taking on the CCP. And while we are well versed in the fact that we have our capabilities with folks like CFIUS when it comes to the purchases of land around military bases, that only extends 1 mile under the current law. So the FBI had to get creative. So what we did was directly engage with our state and local partners. And I'll give you 2 examples. A 400-acre farm in the state of Texas was owned by a CCP official, but because he was outside the reach of the CFIUS law, the FBI executed a unlawful possession of firearms, a criminal complaint, and received it. We seized the land in its entirety, and that CCP national is back in mainland China, and we are working to get him back here. In another example, off the coast of Louisiana, we worked with Governor Landry's team on drilling sites off the coast of Louisiana because, again, they were outside the whole of CFIUS in the 1 mile radius. And with the intelligence we were able to provide our state and local authorities, they shut down that CCP drilling center, which we believed was actually used to provide and steal data and intelligence from American lives. So that's just a little bit of an example. On the marijuana grow houses, we have 6 active ongoing investigations in 6 multiple jurisdictions for specifically taking down CCP affiliated grow houses from Maine to Georgia and across the country.
So there's Kash Patel talking about the CCP, talking about things that the Chinese are doing. That's the same kind of things they did in Canada. They've pretty much taken over Canada. Ain't that right, Aaron, if you're still out there? See, somebody says, Carol says, my brother labeled Telsey socialist light. You may be true. Telsey is a Democrat and a liberal. No denying that. But Telsey, as a Democrat and a liberal, has a bone to pick with the Democrat Party because they screwed her when she was running for president. Not in a good way. So she has a bone to pick. And she is serving in a position under Trump. She made it very clear where she stands. It doesn't matter if I agree or disagree. I give the intel to the president. The president tells me what to do. She's not releasing some of this stuff because it's not time yet, because they got a grand jury getting ready to indict all these people because seditious conspiracy. It's not going to be election fraud. It's not going to be tampering with evidence. It's not going to be all the stuff that happened in 2020 with the media. Understand, the media, if they lied willingly, knowing what was going on with the election fraud that happened, a.k.a. Mark Levin, a.k.a. Sean Hannity, a.k.a. Fox News, Brett Baier, if they lied and knew what was going on, they can be charged in seditious conspiracy too. That's the way that it works. Anybody who furthers the conspiracy in any way can be charged. This is a big deal. But there's more, because Tulsi Gabbard said this during the hearing. Many of you didn't hear it, but I heard it. Now understand that we're talking about election fraud. Understand that everybody's talking about 2020. Understand that the left was going after the what's his name? Mullen, whatever his name is. Drawing a break. Anyways, they're going after him in the hearing the other day for DHS. Do you believe that 2020 was stolen? And he refused to answer the question, basically. You know why they're all upset about 2020? It's gone. Joe Biden is gone. They kicked Joe Biden out. They put Kamala Harris in. Why are they bringing up 2020? Because they're scared to death of seditious conspiracy, because 2020 was part of what the meeting that happened in 2021, check that, in 2017 in the White House with Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, James Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan, Mark Wayne Mullen. Thank you for that. I was sometimes when I'm getting going, I think it's hard for me to recall those names. But what they did was they devised a plan to usurp a sitting president of the United States of America and try to take him out through impeachment. If that didn't work, they devised the continuation of the conspiracy to steal the election. They pulled out all the stops on the election fraud that they did. You remember the hockey stick? Then they went after, continuing the conspiracy, they went after the former president, trumping up charges, no pun intended, raiding his home. They continued the election fraud into 2022. They attempted the election fraud in 2024, but they couldn't do it, and they didn't want to pull out all the stops for Kamala Harris. And now they're doing everything they can to listen. This is way seditious conspiracy theory. If the conspiracy was started by the Barack Obama administration in 2017, actually it was earlier than that, but that's the formality. then that continues each step of the way as each thing happens. And now the Republican leadership is trying to usurp the will of the President of the United States of America and the will of the people. And 80% of the American people as a whole to stop the election fraud so that they can lose in 2022, so that they can do what they did to Donald Trump the first time and stop what's happening. This is continuation of that coup, that seditious conspiracy. So all of them are in jeopardy if this comes out and happens like I'm saying. And then Tulsi Gabbard said this in the hearing. These people talk about the Q panic in D.C.
Okay. Director, the ODNI has confirmed on the record that your office took custody of voting machines from Puerto Rico last May. I'm not aware of any previous DNI taking similar actions. Did your office promptly notify the committee about taking custody of Puerto Rico's voting machines?
I don't believe we did. However, this was done at the request of the Puerto Rico AUSA attorney.
Ma'am, it's a yes or no question. The answer, as you have acknowledged, is no. You did not inform the committee about the taking of a territory's voting machines. Is there a specific foreign threat? And I've read the reporting that you were looking for possible foreign threats, but is there a specific foreign threat that drove you to take this action?
There were questions about whether or not there were vulnerabilities that a threat could have taken advantage of, and that was the purpose for their requesting us to look into those vulnerabilities.
Where are those voting machines now?
I believe they are held in a secure facility at ODNI.
Have you or other ODNI officials taken any other state or territory's voting equipment into custody?
Not to my knowledge.
Continuing the conspiracy, using voting machines to manipulate the 2020 election. Why is he so upset about this? You didn't tell us as a committee. Well, guess what? You're unindicted co-conspirators. They don't have to tell you. Think about it for a minute. And they're all upset with Tulsi for going down to Atlanta, Georgia, when they were seizing all the Georgia records. And there's people that are upset because John Solomon said 2 weeks ago that something was going to happen in Arizona, and then it didn't happen, but it did, because what happened in Georgia, they had to send the FBI down on a raid because they were subpoenaed to give over those documents, and they wouldn't turn them over, so the FBI went down and got them. Arizona decided, oh, we'll give them to you. You don't need the FBI down here. They gave them to him willingly, so there was no FBI raid. Everybody said, John Solomon was wrong. No, he wasn't. He was absolutely right. They turned over all the documents, all the tapes, all the records, everything. They are absolutely fearful because they don't have everything in D.C. If they brought these charges in D.C., they'd be thrown out of court. Just like Judge Bosenberg just told Perino that she could not investigate the Fed chairman for the fraud of their $2.2 billion, over $1 billion overage construction site. Said she can't look into it. No one can look into the Fed. We can't do that. Just like that, these judges would shut it down. But they ain't got that judge and Judge Cannon down it, as we know. Judge Cannon is a patriot. And the grand jury is the grand jury. And the grand jury isn't a bunch of lefty Democrat lawyers in D.C. The grand jury is a bunch of folks randomly selected, as grand juries are. Anybody ever serve on a grand jury? Randomly selected down in Florida, where you got a lot of conservative folks and some liberal folks and some other folks. And they're looking at the evidence and they're saying, yeah, there's something going on here. Jay Bolin says, auto pin. Yeah. Everybody who used the auto pin in one form or fashion are part of the conspiracy, the seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. This is one giant coup attempt. This is one giant color revolution. Everybody involved in the fraud in Minnesota, covering all that up. Seditious conspiracy. Everybody involved in supporting Black Lives Matters and Antifa. Seditious conspiracy. All of the operatives that were there on January 6th that we've recently found out about. Seditious conspiracy. It's all one big pile. It's all encompassing. This is why they use the conspiracy to the RICO charges on the mafia. It's just like Kash Patel pointed to the way. This is the way. When I played the video a minute ago, they had CCP operatives owning land right outside of a military base in Texas. They could do nothing to the CCP owning the land because there's no law. There is now in Missouri, but there's no law because the CCP owns a trailer park right outside of Whiteman Air Force Base. So what they do, they got them on gun crimes, illegal possession of a firearm. And then through that process, they seize the land. There's a will, there's a way. RICO is a way. Seditious conspiracy is a way. Because I've told you many, many a times, if Bill Clinton doinked 1,000 little children on Pedo Island, what can the Americans charge him with? Nothing, because it's a British territory. It's out of our jurisdiction. But if Bill Clinton and Epstein were conspiring with the British government and other foreign agencies to overthrow a sitting president of the United States of America, that's a seditious conspiracy. You might not get him on the doinking, but you can get him on the seditious conspiracy. You see where I'm going with this? It's all encompassing. And when this starts really breaking loose, when it really starts unfolding, if you talk to Mike, he's not on today, but if you talk to Mike in the chat room, it's coming sooner rather than later. This is when people start self-deporting the planet or the country, whichever is better for them. Too Good says that's why they have the islands. Yup. That's exactly right. Donald Trump is withholding all of this right now. There's a slow release on it, but it's going to come everything all at once. Donald Trump is withholding this. It's Donald Trump doing this. It's strategery. It's about the 2022 elections along with this seditious conspiracy. And those of you screaming and hooting and hollering, let me ask you a question. Do you want the perp walk and the visions and then everybody gets off? Or do you want this done right? Do you want this done so that there's no escape? Would you rather that these people get so-called justice? You're bad. Or that they get retribution by God? Which would you rather? In this life and the next. It's better than a millstone be tied around your neck and cast into the sea, God said. Jesus said about the little ones. Everything is playing out together. Everything is playing out together. Donald Trump is an instrument used by God. Trump will be a trumpet to trumpet the evil that's in his government. He's going to expose it all. It didn't say that he's going to bring it all to the courts and process. That's not the point here. God is going to lift the skirt over their head and expose their nakedness. That is a biblical expression that is used over and over and over again in the Bible when God's about to expose the things that people don't want people to know. And when it happens, what did Q say? They won't be able to walk down the street. This is when some of these people will be brought to justice. Some of these people will flee. Some of these people will flee the planet. It's not just that God is in control, it's that God is sovereign with all authority. That even Satan himself has to ask God permission before he does anything. Where do you get that from? The Bible, the first chapter of Job. Go read it. You think it's any different today? It's not. It's going to get very, very interesting as this starts to come out. This is why you see the Democrats questioning these people. It's why you see the Democrats walking out on Pam Bundy. This is why you see the Democrats fighting so hard to put ID in voting systems to stop it from happening. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that they would fight 80%. This is an 80% issue, Republican and Democrat. It's 75% of minority black people, Hispanic people, 75% want ID to vote. And they run around and they tell us all this stuff. Chucky Schumer's going around. Chucky Schumer's going around. It's Jim Crow 2.0. It was you, Chucky, who did Jim Crow. It's a Democrat. ID? Are you kidding me?
I have called this act over and over again, Jim Crow 2.0. And they hate it. I've gotten 50 million right-wing attacks on my email because I said it. And you know why they attack it? Because they know it's the truth. It is Jim Crow 2.0, but it's spread across the whole country.
Yeah. Because you think that black people, that Hispanic people, that other minorities are so stupid, they're going to believe you. Let me tell you something. They're not. And it doesn't make any sense that you guys are fighting this hard for this unless you have to stop what's coming at all costs. And that's exactly what's going on. By the way, I'm still believing that the SAVE Act will not pass, that this is going to be an executive order through Donald Trump. And some of you are going, I told you it's going to be an executive order. Whatever. Not the same. It's going to be forced upon these people because there's no other way. I want to play this video. The guy doesn't say anything. It just says it right on top. So I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read the comment. It's just about 30 seconds long with a little music in the background. That's all. He says, the party that founded the KKK wants me to believe that requiring a free ID to vote is Jim Crow 2.0. That makes zero sense. I challenge you, Lucy. Show me martial law in the Constitution.
This is called.
Show me that. There's not going to be martial law. That's not going to happen. There will be other things that happen, but it will not be martial law. I see we have Veteran Nation in the house, Veteran Nation Foundation. How you doing? Appreciate you. That was a pretty good long way around. But all of that, by the way, standing against ID is seditious conspiracy. It's all part of it. And they know that it's coming. This is why I've told you. I literally thought timing, you got to stop and let God do his own timing. That's why I told you, and I said I thought when Trump took office that they would jump ship because they knew what's coming. They know what's coming. That's why they're acting the way they're acting. That's why they're going against the majority of the American people on issues that are just plain, dumb not to support. Shirley was talking about what's going on with the airports. The Democrats have shut down funding to the TSA. So the TSA, the TSA are quitting in droves right now because they got mortgages to pay, they got daycare to pay, they can't afford to go to work because they're not getting paid, and the airports are running out of people to do the TSA. AOC said 2 weeks ago that the reason that they're having trouble in the polls is because the American people aren't hurting enough yet. But that's what's going. That's why they're shutting down the air traffic, the Secretary Air Traffic Control, air traffic. What is it? TSA. What is it? F. Federal Transportation. That one. Whoever's in charge, that guy. He said 2 weeks ago that we will probably have to start shutting airports down in 2 weeks because they won't have the staffing for the TSA. Well, there was a blackout at the airport in Colorado. Have you heard of others? I haven't heard of any others. And there's a bunch of TikTok conspiracy theorists going on, whatever. But with the airports, they're literally talking about shutting down airports in the next week or so across the country. And that's the Democrats doing that because they need you to have pain. By the way, none of them will have any problems. Marine says prophetic word about flight stopping. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but Marine was saying that Robin Bullock was good on Elijah's stream. Somebody else said Amanda Grace was good. Somebody else said what's her name? I can't think of her name. Again, I don't watch her very often. Was good. I don't know. Go watch it. Go see what they say. Make up your own mind. Don't predict the future. Watch for it to happen. So anyways, with that, it's Friday. What does that mean? That means you probably should take a break. Turn it off. Take a deep breath. It's beautiful here in Central Missouri. It's 73 degrees right now outside here in Central Missouri. It's going to be beautiful. Go spend some time outside this weekend. Enjoy yourself. I'll be traveling tomorrow, taking my daughter up to Kansas City, where she'll be going through the process of trying out to be a Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader, which is her dream. She's very excited about it. I hope she makes it. Because Julie Green, thank you for that. That's one of the others. There's several. 107 here in Yuma. That's why I don't live in Yuma. Man, that's like the hottest spot on earth right there in the lower deserts. Yuma, Arizona to Palm Springs. All the test ranges out there. Fort Irwin out there in California. Ugh. If I decide to move, if I decide to go mobile, I probably won't be going there unless in the wintertime. Anyways, take a break. You know what I'm saying. I'll keep you informed. We'll come back Monday. We'll talk about it. All right. Patriot Mike is out.